I am Tuomas Harviainen. My formal title is Professor of Information Studies and Interactive Media. The discipline I represent is usually called Information Studies, but is in some places known with monikers like Information Research or, especially in Northern America, Library and Information Science. It studies how people interact, or more likely put, deal with information, as creators, sharers, and receivers. Classical theories and models of how humans deal with information have various names. Slightly differing approaches exist, each with a partially different approach connected to it. Key examples of this include information behavior, information interaction, information action or activities, and information experiences. I specialize in the study of information practices. That means the study of recurring social elements of information interaction, where we can see acts that relate to information or observe their absence. The study of practices, in a wider sense, ties to issues of sociology, philosophy, communications, strategy, and the ways in which we perceive communities as being structured. Some information practices are formalized, as in the case of organizational information sharing, documentation, preparing an agenda for a meeting, or making dinner based on a recipe. Others are less official, yet equally established, asking a colleague for helpful information, small talk over coffee, finding out where one can best buy a new dishwasher, or, as in the case of my more recent research, acquire illegal narcotics. These practices are tied to the information needs that spark them. Some needs lead us to seeking, searching, and eventually retrieving information from storage systems, such as databases or enterprise resource planning software. Others, however, lead us to blocking our information needs or blunting the kinds of information we encounter but do not wish to accept. Such information does not become a part of our knowledge structures. When sharing information, we in turn often make careful assessments about what we share. For instance, can we talk about a film or a game without sharing spoilers of its contents? Or will we do more harm by telling of a friend's spouse's infidelity than by keeping that information a secret? These are the kinds of issues information research takes into account when studying information practices. The most commonly studied areas include information seeking, information use, information sharing, and information management, but many more forms and activities exist. Practices exist in networks that underlie our activities and statements and have a tendency to perpetuate themselves. They are social and cultural. To understand practices, we need to understand their contexts. For example, when we engage with information in our homes, we do so in relation to the other people there, or roles at home, and as embodied beings amidst material objects that form assemblages together with their requirements, such as electricity and internet access. To understand practices, we furthermore need to also understand the actors and activities involved. These foci mean that we need to understand the people, their habits and routines, their social contexts, and the roles that they play. For instance, CEOs and their executive assistants will deal with exactly the same information in different fashions. Likewise, to refer to my own research again, a person looking for drugs will read the same dark web forum post from a different angle than a law enforcement agent or a social worker would. And when it comes to mis- and disinformation and the relevant information literacies needed to detect those, the issues become even more complex. An advantage of the broad spectrum of information-related theories is that even as we cannot seek a uniform theory of information and interactions with it, we can use various lenses to understand it better. This includes areas such as looks into practices through which information about surrounding world gets formed. They allow analysis of communities of practice, in which learning takes place through information sharing, and of strategies as practices, where we can focus on strategizing as a verb instead of strategy as a noun. While this may sound distant from everyday information practices, the fact is that good strategizing is based on informed decisions that can be adapted when new information is sought, received, or encountered. We can therefore argue that information practices are, to a certain extent, strategic practices, either on an individual level, for organizations, or both. And strategic practices are definitely information practices. Over the years, I have explored issues related to information practices, particularly information sharing. The topics have ranged from a combination of information, role-playing, and rituals, to more recent themes. Lately, the work has had two focal points: the game industry and online trading on illegal narcotics. Those are two themes that in practice have nothing to do with each other. But when we examine topics such as information sharing, theory-level similarities start to emerge. In the first area, my interest and that of my teams of colleagues is on information sharing within the Finnish game development scene. Centrally, the question of what kinds of information do people working for simultaneously competing and collaborating development companies share, because in Finland they share a lot more than in most other countries. Issues such as why does this culture of sharing exist, why does it persist, and what are the business advantages of allowing it, fascinate us as researchers. As far as my dark web research in turn goes, thanks to the Academy of Finland, we were able to study numerous topics related to online drug culture as part of the now ended ENCODE project, and now the Kone-funded Kadulta Labraan. These included the information needs of people purchasing illegal narcotics, marketing speech as information sharing, sharing identity-related information, and peer help in quitting the use of certain substances, as well as usernames, which, in their own way, also represent a type of information sharing and trust building, and data protection and research ethics when studying all of the aforementioned topics. In the most recent work, we seek to understand cultural differences in drug-related information sharing and engage in harm reduction and the prevention of potential drug-related deaths through advanced information about atypical substances. Both of these topics, game development sharing and drug trading discussions, are from my perspective about the role information sharing and information withholding play in establishing, maintaining, and sometimes also losing trust. In addition to these main areas, I have diverged to topics ranging from governmental service gamification to propaganda and mis- and disinformation, to the ways in which non-monogamous people strategize their lives. A connecting thread between these topics, too, is the presence of either information, play, or usually both. For example, my studies into kink or swingers may at the first glance seem different from my other topics. But if we look under the surface, they too are about how people deal with everyday life, information that relates to their lifestyles. In my own mind, almost everything in my portfolio is connected, and the connection is in the form of studying the information practices and information context of people. The work that overall combines the most dots in my research is the study of organizational design games. They are various kinds of games, only a few of them digital, that are utilized to help people discuss topics relevant to their organizations, improving processes and practices, while involving stakeholders from many levels of said organizations and temporarily lowering hierarchies through play. Such games combine my interests in learning organizations, in games, in strategy, and in service design, and by their nature advance our general knowledge on areas such as the genres of organizational information and the ways in which information is shared in not only existing practices, but also the design of new practices. They allow also insight into information creation, a still understudied information practice that nevertheless has close connections to concepts utilized in many related fields. These brief examples from my own work illustrate the many aspects coexisting within the area of information practices. To comprehend them well enough, a scholar of that area has to be thoroughly familiar with theories of both information and practices, but also much more. On one hand, this means understanding aspects of organizations, of play, of systems, gender, power, just to name a few examples. On the other hand, information practices form only one part of information studies, meaning that close collaboration with also experts in its other facets, such as information retrieval, archival sciences, and knowledge management, is also necessary. Ours is a very flexible and versatile discipline, able to merge its forms in contact with different kinds of contexts, always wanting to learn more, yet also always with a distinct nature of its own. The digital shifts in societies keep it increasingly relevant. You will meet its practitioners and professionals in many places, libraries and archives, but also, more and more often, in various types of businesses and public organizations. And the practices it studies are, as stated before, ever present in your everyday lives and activities.